Hospital port as pride and dignity stop the New World Order. Welcome to Herpanwo TV. Today I'm at St James's Church in Cowley, Oxford, and I'm on a public footpath that runs through here, through there, see, and through here into a cemetery of the church. Now it's actually quite useful if you open up Google Earth or Google Maps at this point and see where it is. It's actually between two roads, Churchill Road, Churchill, two words, and a road called Beecham Lane. And Beecham is spelt like the French word Beauchamp. And the reason it's important for you to do that is because then you can see whereabouts it is geographically to Temple Cowley. And Temple Cowley is a district of Oxford, which is about just over a mile to the east of that. And Temple Cowley is actually the location of where I made a movie called Illuminati Pyramids in Oxford, and that film is actually important background to this one, so check that out. And I'm going to take you into the cemetery now along this public footpath which runs through the middle of the cemetery. There used to be a little kissing gate here, and someone's ripped it off the hinges. It's pretty old, this thing. This is it. Now it's a very peaceful, quiet cemetery. Now the first thing that strikes you about this place is it's very old. And you see these graves here are extremely old. All these graves, I'd say, are pretty ancient. I mean, I can't date them exactly except by the dates on them, but there are none of the sort of shiny new ones, because there's one shiny new one over there, as you see, but that's about the only one. All the others are old, they're rough, and the polish is worn off them, and they're crumbling. And in fact, most of them, you know, are crumbled so much and deteriorate so much that their inscriptions are not legible. There's a few here that have, you know, you can see, you just about to make out the inscriptions on that one there. Now, the oldest date I can find in this graveyard is 1877, but that's with a visible, legible epitaph. But there must be lots of other graves here that are actually far older than that and have had the epitaphs worn off. The church itself is down here. I'm going to take you on a little walk along the path through the cemetery. It's very peaceful here. You don't see these kind of graves anymore. 1912. That's lady died 1933, 1932. Blimey, there's a lot really old graves here. It's a real piece of history. You know, and as I've said before, you know, a lot of the real history of Oxford doesn't lie with the historic university just down the road. I mean, you can go and take tour guides around that. Although there are some interesting things there which I have shown you, and I'll show you some more as well in the future. But you know, a lot of the history of Oxford actually lies here in the suburbs. Now we're sort of actually in a couple of miles from the city centre, in the southeast of the city. It's not a large city. You can, you know, most of this is within walking distance, I'd say. Oh, look at that, covered in ivy. Now I think this is one of the older parts of the graveyard, and you see here very old gravestones. We're about to come out on Beecham Lane in a minute. Now, just a short distance from me, you can almost see it actually between those houses, is Cowley Centre, known as Templar Square Centre, which features in that other film I told you about. Right here, now this is here's one of the interesting gravestones. That one there. As you see how old it is, it's almost half buried. But that looks to me like a skull on the top of it. What do you reckon? Look at that. There's a skull on top of that gravestone. No legible inscription, I think. But there's see if there's any more. Look, there's another one with a skull on. Oh, look at that. That looks like it's definitely a skull. And this is absolutely ancient. Centuries old. There's another one. That's definitely, you can actually make out the sort of bone structure in the nose of the skull there. Can you see? Its eyes, yeah, that's definitely a skull. Oh, and look, this is a really old one. The features have worn away. And of course, there's no way you can ever read what's on there. So what is that? Well, skulls. What do they symbolise? Where do they come from? Well, they're a very well-known esoteric and occult symbol you get in a lot of you know, graves, monuments. There's the skull and crossbones, things like that. But I think this relates to the Knights Templar, and I'd be very interested to actually find out who actually lies buried here in these spots here. I wonder who they are. But I mean, there is a link to the Knights Templar, which I've discovered myself. And if you look into the description box, you'll see my film Illuminati Pyramids in Oxford, which I really suggest you do watch if you haven't watched it already, to give you some essential background into this movie. The Knights Templar, of course, they were an esoteric order of noblemen stroke monks who took part in the Crusades in sort of around the 12th 13th century time. They were elite warriors. In fact, they often got the most dangerous missions and behind enemy lines, things like that. They were what would nowadays be called special forces. They were also very pious Christian monks on the surface, but underneath, there was a very distinctive occult and more ecumenical matter to them. They were obviously the keepers of very ancient secrets. I mean, you go to watch films like The Da Vinci Code or read the book, or Holy Blood, Holy Grail. It talks about this kind of thing. It's a big subject. I can't go into it all here, but there's a hell of a lot to get into concerning the secrets they might have kept. I mean, I'm not the person who goes into the bloodline of Jesus kind of thing, but I mean, there's magic. I'm talking about magic and mysteries. Ancient spiritual knowledge, basically. That's what I think was their business. That's what they were into. That was their game. And I mean, there's all kinds of publications you can read about the Knights Templar and what they were up to. The skull is often seen as death, but it also symbolises life. It symbolises intelligence, the brain, things like that. I mean, in many cultures, skulls are seen as a sign of life. In many pre-Illuminati or extra-Illuminati kind of pagan indigenous cultures, they use the skull on. Skulls are considered signs of good luck. Having your grandfather's skull on the mantelpiece, brings you luck. Things like that. So I thought I'd just show you that, and if I get any more information about this, I will let you know. Thanks for watching Hapanmo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.